Weekday nights, the city roars. Tune in loud, turn up some more. Cincinnati show, it's time to play. Sports with strawberry ice today. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's good delight. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Feel the crowd, it's electric now. Shouting loud, they all know how. The CTV got what we crave. Sports with ice, it's waves and waves. Tigers strike and Bengals roar. Every game we want some more. Tune it in and feel the thrill. Strawberry ice, he's giving chills. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's good delight.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Iceman Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. And as always, I'm coming to you live from the Ice Cave. And the Ice Cave is sponsored by Priority Lawn and Landscaping. If you got multiple yards or just your yard you don't want to cut, think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. You got a flower bed that you need cleaned out or, I don't know, mulched. Maybe you want to put some flowers in there. Maybe you want to put some shrubbery or something. Think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. You got any kind of landscaping ideas that you just can't put together? You might need some help figuring out how to do it. Think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Give them a call at 513-430-6114. That's 513-430-6114. You can also follow them on Facebook. And when you call Johnny or you message him on Facebook, tell him I sent you. What is up to everybody in the chat? We've got Brad in there, Strangers in there, Rockin' Bengals in there, Paul Painter, and Tony Blazin. Yes, Brad, looks like Trey has reported that the Bengals and his agent have not had any discussions. I don't think his strategy is going to work out in his favor. I got some thoughts on that because I just got the phone with Jesse James, or Jesse Taylor, however you call him. He's an NFL agent. We'll get to that here in a second on what he has heard. But before then, let's bring on, he is a visionary. He is legendary. He's got one of the best beards, not the best beard, but one of the best beards in Bengal fandom. He's my friend. He's your co-fan of the year. He's none other than Bengals captain. What's up, Cap?
Visionary.
Visionary. Yeah, I don't know. Cool. Yeah.
Like I'm doing the shrooms or something.
You're out there.
I'm creative, but yeah. I don't know about visionary.
I don't know.
Good to hear.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Now we got Ian Cummings, who's one of the best draft guys around. If you guys watch Bengals Super Bowl Friday, him and Dale has a man crush on Ian now. It's official. He has a man crush on Ian. I'm not sure if Ian reciprocates it or not, but either way, one of the best draft guys around.
Dale's kind of a man whore. So
a little bit.
Is that a compliment or is that just par for the course?
I don't know.
Love you, Dale.
Right now, one of the best draft guys around. He's from Pro Football Network. He is Ian Cummings. What's up, Ian? Do you like it? I got a new picture for you.
Yeah, it's good to get the update for sure. It's been a long time coming. I think the last one that you had was like, and this is my fault for not sending an updated picture for so long, but it was from 2018 or something. So
yeah, it was. Well, you've been coming on for a while, so you know.
Exactly. So it's been a long time. Dale, if you're listening, it is reciprocated. All right. Don't let them shake you down. Okay. Love you, brother. But it's good to be back. It's good to be talking draft. It's good to be after the draft so I can breathe a little bit. But it was a fun time for sure.
So you feeling a little better than you were Friday, because you were playing hurt on their show Friday. You feeling a little better?
Yeah, I have like the cough occasionally comes back, but I'm pretty much on the upswing now. I think it's in the rearview mirror. It really sucked because I was like, and this is actually my last podcast. If I don't set one up again before Wednesday, this is my last one of the 2025 NFL draft cycle, actually. So pretty cool landmark here. But right before the end of the cycle, I was like, all right, I'm in the clear, and then I get the chest cold, and I can't get through like 2 sentences without coughing. So it was tough, but we got through it.
Well, I appreciate you working with me because I moved you days, and then I moved you time. Like I got so much stuff going on trying to figure out who'd bring on when and other stuff. I kept moving you around. Like, but I'm glad you're able to join us. Sure. Now we have a little bit of stuff here before we get to the draft. Contract stuff. Shamar Stewart and the first round or second round pick have not signed yet. And Trey Henderson hasn't signed. And like I said, I talked to Jesse James, who is an NFL agent, and he brought up some good points as to why. And I'll ask you guys opinions about this too. As to why the Bengals haven't signed Trey Henderson. And it makes a hell of a lot of sense. Trey's upset because they haven't heard from the Bengals. From what Jesse has said is they don't have enough people to do the contract negotiations. They can't multitask. According to Jesse, Troy is working on trying to get the NFL draft here, and he's doing the contract negotiation for the stadium lease. Katie's doing the rest of it. So, and those are your two contract negotiators. Duke Tobin doesn't do that. He doesn't negotiate contracts. He doesn't do that stuff. He's player development. So that makes a lot of sense to me as why they haven't heard from him and why it takes so daggone long to do this stuff, because they got one person basically negotiating everything. So, yes, should they get more people? Absolutely. But it's also kind of hard to get somebody that you trust to do this. I don't know. What's your thoughts there, Cap?
Me?
Yes, sir. You.
We got a celebrity over here. Good to meet you. And I had a search for him real quick. I wasn't following him because I'm an asshole. No, because this is my off season. Like I try to avoid social media, but I had to.
I drag him back in.
Such high praise from actual visionaries other than myself. You got to use it in a sentence.
The only prerequisite for being a visionary is having a vision.
Yes,
whether it's a good one or bad. No, I'm kidding. That's not.
Oh, you have vision. It's good.
Exactly.
Ice with the glasses there. Mine are beside me.
I'm blind. I can't see the screen anymore.
I can't imagine a more critical role that they would have to trust. Like the hardest position to hire for within a family-run organization would be someone negotiating the money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I get it. Now, I like hearing that better. I can imagine some people would think that's a huge negative. Obviously, the deal's not done yet, so there has to be an answer somewhere. I would rather it be they're spread too thin.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no malice. They're not cheap. There's no, horrible scheme behind the scenes. It's just they're spread thin. It'll get done, and they're spread thin. And who are they going to hire other than Jesse?
Jesse. I think they should hire Jesse.
Bengals. That's my vote.
Yeah.
If he's got some spare time, little contract, give him a little percentage of each contract he negotiates, whatever, just here and there. I'm all for it. But it's good news to me because I was bummed reading I hate Trey saying there's no communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone's got to reach out when you see that in the news.
If they don't have I mean, it's frustrating. Yes, I hope they would hire some more people. And it goes down to what Ian Rappaport also was saying on the Pat McAfee show, not against, but also to add on to what Adam Schefter said, is in Ian's opinion, it's going to happen. They're going to get it done. It just never happens as fast as we want it to. And that's where I'm at. Ian, well, what's your thought? I know this has nothing to do with the draft, but just your opinion on what we just said there.
Yeah, I think I get how they could be in a scenario where they are stretched thin, like I get the rationale behind that. But I also think the Bengals, with the situation their roster is in right now, like the offense is definitely the unit that's probably going to carry the team, right? I mean, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, the offensive line, we'll talk about the picks later, but looks a little bit better than it did coming in. So I think the offense is definitely the better unit. And you look at what got the Bengals in a really tough spot last year. You need to have a pass rush and you need to have pass coverage. And those two phases really work in tandem with each other. It's kind of a symbiotic relationship, you know? And if they don't have Trey Hendrickson, like, I love the talent with Shamar Stewart, but he hasn't even signed yet. And even when he does sign, there's a lot of work to do to develop him into that caliber of pass rusher. So I think Hendrickson is by far your highest quality guy. And if you make him upset, I mean, apparently he reports, so like maybe he'll play even without, just on the franchise tag. But, I wouldn't want to keep your stars unhappy, especially when you need him that much, because you need pass rush, you need pass coverage. And I don't want to get into another situation where you have this historic passing offense and you go, 9-8, 10-7 and lose in the first round of the playoffs. Like, this is a Super Bowl caliber offense. Now let's get up to that level with the defense. And Trey Hendrickson right now is probably your best bet. I know there's some apprehension because he's over 30. He's going to turn 31 in this coming fall, winter. So there is some apprehension there. And he's also kind of more of a speed rusher. He's not as complete of a player as some of the other high caliber guys, but he's a lot better than whatever else you have to offer on that defensive line. So it's kind of it's a rock and a hard place situation, right? It's very tough to have the right element, but I would say whoever does do the contract work, Trey Hendrickson should be a priority within that lens, right? So I think it's kind of a tricky question of, yes, we're stretched thin, but I do think it's a pressing issue that they shouldn't, like, if he's upset that you're not communicating, that's not something you want to let fester, because the frustration will only compound.
Yeah, and they didn't cancel it. Sorry, Brad, they didn't cancel it. They moved it to next week. So that's to me, that's different than canceling it altogether. Just press conference is supposed to be tomorrow. They moved it to next week. Now, I do like, and Captain commented on this too, I like Tony Lips here. He said, I like hearing the why rather than assuming that they don't respect him. And that's the thing, is I don't think it's that they don't respect him and they don't want him back. It's just they can't multitask. They don't have enough people, and it's frustrating because you would want them to have more people to do this, but that's where we're at. It's just the facts of the situation of how they run their team. And I would rather them have more people. I'd rather have more scouting department, but they don't. That's just the way it is. But to me, it seems better than they don't care. That, no, screw you. You're just going to go play on this contract and we're going to ignore you. I don't think that's it. From what I just heard from Jesse James, it's they don't have the people to concentrate, because they just negotiated all the rookie contracts except for the first second round pick, and that is money with the training camp or something like that. I know Kelsey Conway had a good article on it. You guys can go read about that. So negotiating that, and she negotiated all the other picks. And you still got Trey. You got the thing with the stadium lease. They're trying to get the NFL draft here. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's other stuff they're got going on that we don't even know about. And it just falls on their lap. And I'm not making excuses for them. I'm just telling you that's what's going on. And to me, that's what is taking so long to get this done. So.
Now, here's the the caveat with that is, like, if we have to put them in a hierarchy of priority, what's the more time sensitive issue, right? The stadium lease and the NFL draft being in Cincinnati, or Trey Hendrickson getting an extension, right? And yes, there's an argument to make that they're stretched too thin, but wouldn't you want an NFL franchise to be able to multitask? Like, wouldn't you want them to have the necessary resources to get to that, that lowest common denominator? So that it's tricky, but me looking from the outside in, that's my perspective. But I also understand why there could be reservations about tying that much money to this kind of guy who's a very, very, very good player at what he does best, but also does have notable limitations and long-term questions.
Esther here says the why should never be public. Bottom line, simple phone call would prevent it. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I'm not saying.
I love my team. I love the organization. I've spoken with everybody from Mike Brown all the way down front office. The idea that they don't want to win, they're cheap, all that's BS. They absolutely do want to win. But I agree 100% with Esther. You know what? I don't know why or what they have adapted. They've grown. When we say this is how the organization is run, it's not. We do see change. We've got to see more. And the more part for this is Yeah, somebody's got to pick up the phone. Like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Just call. Just a simple phone
I'm
call.
fine with PR. Like, I will help that. The project management and the sales roles that I've had before cybersecurity, I did a good job. And sometimes in cybersecurity, you got to be PR too, because it gets bad. It's like, oh no, it's not on fire. Meanwhile, there's a fire behind you on camera.
Everything's fine. Ignore the fire
Yeah.
behind the TV screen. Don't worry about it.
So just in case no one's picked up the phone, Trey's amazing wife, Trey's family, we love him to death. He is amazing, both on the field and off the field. I am going to be devastated. I'm unhappy that he's unhappy. Like, it bothers me. So I'm going to be devastated if something happens and we don't retain him long term, because I guarantee you the age is only a number with this guy. He's going to continue to work and defy the odds like Whitworth. We're going to see it. It'll be a huge mistake to lose him for a lot of reasons, not just the athletic talent, but the leadership in the locker room. The guys love him. The fans love him. We appreciate the hell out of him. I'm confident. I'm hopeful we get something done soon, but it just sucks right now.
Oh, it sucks. Yeah. I mean, and I'm going to bring Mon's comment back up here, and I agree with you. He said we love this team and still be skeptical how they operate. Yes, they've come a long way. They still need to continue. That's perfect, and you're right. I like to think that they're trying to, but we're from where we were to where we are now is night and day. So yes, it still sucks. Yes, they should call Trey. I don't know why. A simple, like Esther said, simple phone call. Just call him. Just say, hey, look, we got a whole bunch of other irons in the fire. We haven't forgot about you. We're working on it. I'm spread. You can be honest. Katie can say I'm spread thin. I can only do so much at one time. So that's the news I got. Let's get into this draft here. Speaking of Trey Hendrickson and Shamar Stewart, how much of an influence and an impact do you think Shamar Stewart is going to make on this team this season, Ian?
This season, it's tricky. I would be a little skeptical to anoint him as an immediate contributor. I think Shamar Stewart, here's the thing with Shamar Stewart. I think what you have with him, and this is kind of what I've decided to word it as, is you have the perfect developmental archetype, the perfect player, 6'5", 267, over 34-inch arms. So he can probably get up to 275 on playing weight, right? Elite athlete, like hyper elite athlete, like generational athlete at his size, right? So you have the perfect developmental framework, and you're going to have a lot of imperfect reps early on. I think with Shamar Stewart, the developmental upside was always the first priority with him, but when it comes to pass rush execution, when it comes to run game discipline, those things are still very much a work in progress on the film. I think you turn on the film and, his motor runs really hot. And I think that can be a good thing and a bad thing, because it's not an issue of want to when it comes to improper execution. I mean, this guy wants it. I mean, he is always out there giving 110%. He has a wicked play pace for an edge rusher, but sometimes it gets to the point where it's uncontrolled. He loses control, and then inefficient with motion and your hands and your execution, and that can throw you out of place, right? At the NFL level, you really got to hone that down, and you got to be efficient as a playmaker. You got to be assignment sound, and I don't think the discipline, the operation, I don't think it's there to make an immediate impact for him. But I do think his physical skill set makes it so that you can put him on the field, and he's going to be able to hold up in contact situations. He's going to be able to get tackles on their skates just with his explosiveness off the snap. Like, he's going to be able to match up as a physical specimen, and he'll be able to exist within that environment. But as far as, thriving within that environment, I think it's going to take some time. I think they're going to be lumps early on, and I think in run defense and in the pass game. But if you can get him reps, just get him more action, right? Let him refine it week over week. He could develop into a really good player. Early on, though, I think, and this is what makes the Trey Hendrickson deal so much more pressing, is that if they had drafted like Nick Scourton from Texas A&M, I would have said you can rely on him as a pass rushing threat right away, right? Because he's got the execution. If they had drafted, he wouldn't fit their archetype, but Donovan Ezeraku, that's a guy who I know has the pass rushing execution, even though he doesn't have nearly the size that they would be looking for, right? So he was never going to be on their board. Shamar Stewart, is very, very raw operationally, right? The athleticism, the power, the size, the motor, those things definitely raise his floor and his ceiling. But I still think the floor from a consistent contributor standpoint is still pretty low. You got some work to do.
But his ceiling
Ian,
is very high. Right?
Yeah.
Got Cap.
let's say you're in that room and you're drafting and you draft Shamar. Why would you have drafted him there for the Bengals?
I would have drafted him because you're not going to find a physical skill set like that in the next like 5 years or even 10 years. I think his, again, like let's run through the numbers, right? 6'5", 267, over 34-inch arms, ran in the 4.5s at the NFL Combine, over 40-inch vertical. I mean, this dude is as explosive and fast and twitched up as they come at that size. And I think, you know, when there are flashes on tape where he can leverage power, just awesome power, overwhelming power with that combined burst and that frame density and that length and just bowled over tackles, right? And he's got range as a stunter with that athleticism. You know, he can be a guy who functions as a battering ram, slanting inside from 5-tech. You know, like there's so many different ways theoretically that you could use a player like this. I think the upside is almost unlimited. So if I was going to draft him, I would want to have a really solid supporting system for him. I would want him to have the proper coaching, the proper teaching, right? Having a veteran like Trey Hendrickson, who we can learn pass rush execution from, can be extremely valuable, you know? So I would definitely want him to have the proper support system where he can glean information. But if I were a GM, and if I were to make the argument for drafting him, it would largely come from the developmental potential. You're not going to get a physical talent like this for a long time beyond this. He was the most athletic edge to test at the NFL Combine since Myles Garrett. You know, that's not hyperbole. Like that's what happened. Now here's the caveat, because anytime you mention anytime you mention Shamar Stewart and Myles Garrett in the same sentence, you're gonna get some irrational comps, right? So let's bury those right now. Shamar Stewart is nowhere near the operator that Myles Garrett was coming out and is. You know, it's a 100-to-1 comparison. You know, I think Shamar Stewart has a long way to go as far as operation goes, but the physical talent is almost unmatched. And I think that if you have the proper coaches, the proper supporting system, you might be able to get him close to his ceiling. And that's an exciting thought.
Now I have a question, because I was a Walter Nolan guy. That's who I wanted, and he went one pick before.
Yeah.
I've heard from different beat writers that the Bengals would have taken him. Do you think Walter? Who is it better? Who's going to be in your opinion, who has a better shot of being the better player and a longer, higher ceiling, longer projection? Which out of the two, either Walter Nolan or Shamar Stewart?
Yeah, and it's tricky because they play different positions, so it's not an equal comparison. I think the floor is higher with Walter Nolan. But I think the ceiling is pretty freaking high for both of them. Let's be honest. I think Walter Nolan is definitely, you know, you think about the explosion, again, the power profile. I mean, they were using him at 3-tech, 5-tech, 4-eye, anywhere that they could to just let him cave in the line. And I think his pass rush execution really took a step up in 2024 too. You know, you saw him not only use power, but also rips on the interior gaps, you know, attacking the specific shoulders with really forceful hand moves and bending around blocks too. So I think the floor is definitely higher with Walter Nolan. I think compared to Stewart, you would have been able to rely on him more as a day one impact. But I do think Shamar Stewart, if you can get him to that point, like he's got the size and the explosion to set the edge and reset the point in run defense. He's got the motor to make plays in pursuit, and he's got an all-encompassing pass rush profile. If you can get him to, you know, find synergy with his hands and feet, if you can get him to improve his angle discipline, right, and not go too wide outside the apex and lose time and space. So there's a lot of work to do. I think the floor would have been higher with Walter Nolan. But I think the ceiling is very high for both of them. But I think you could argue Shamar Stewart's ceiling is the highest in the entire class, regardless of position.
That's awesome. And like Matt Jenkins here said, they both played on Texas A&M line. That's the other thing I want to ask you too. Is Texas A&M did lose a lot of talent off of that defensive line, and did that contribute to Shamar not getting the numbers in pass rushing, because he got double teamed a lot. I mean, they moved, and I think they put him nose one time, or at least a couple times. Like you say, you moved him around a lot. But do you think with him being the guy this year, you know, and not really having a whole lot of other help, I guess, as far as pass rush, do you think that had something to do with his lower sack numbers?
Potentially. I don't think it had a too much of a impact because the line was still very talented. I mean, they had Shamar Turner, who I believe went round 3, maybe round 2. He went in the day 2 range. They had Nick Scourton, who went to the Panthers in the 30s or 40s. So they still had a very talented line. Losing Walter Nolan definitely hurt, but I don't think it was at the level where you can say the supporting talent was detrimental to him.
Okay.
But you do have a good point. Shamar Stewart was so talented and just so hard to account for off of the physical tools alone and the motor as well. Like, this dude is unhinged. He's like a bull in a china shop. That can be positive and negative for him right now because of the lack of discipline and control. But if he's unleashed, it's really hard to corral this guy one-on-one. So they did hit him with double teams, a fair amount of the time. But I also think when he was one-on-one, the execution left a lot to be desired. So I think it's a little bit of both. I don't think you can give him all of the credit because of that. But I also do think just his pure physical talent gives offenses a lot to account for, and you have to respect it.
Yeah, and I love hearing the motor. Motor, you got a high motor. Just if people are like, what does that mean? You're always going. You're always going. You don't take any plays off. Yep. You can't teach that. You have that. You can get people to pull it back. Some, I think it's easier to get them to pull it back is instead of to get them to go forward with it. So if you already got a high motor right there, I'll take that all day long. And if you're going to make mistakes by going too fast or trying too hard, again, I'll take that because those are fixable things. You can fix that. So there's a lot of good stuff here. Now, like I said, we need him to make. Yes, it would be great if he could make an immediate impact. The other thing is for us, and these are guys that were already drafted, but Joseph Ossai and Miles Murphy are guys that have to be impact players for us this year. Joseph Ossai's on a 1-year prove deal. I think Miles is on his last year of his contract, if I think that's right, or pretty close. Either way, those guys have got to take a step up along with McKinley Jackson and Chris Jenkins. So we got a lot of young guys on here and a lot of talented guys on this defense. We talked about this before. We got a lot of first and second round picks, and that's why I think Al Golden was brought in here to get the talent out of these guys. It's not like we don't have talent on that side of the ball. We just haven't got them developed the way they need. We needed them to be. So that's where I think there's a lot of pressure on Al Golden to do that. And it's got to happen quick. And like I said, it might not happen with Shamar Stewart, but maybe Miles Murphy, Joseph Ossai, those guys can take off and be, the pass rusher along with Trey. We got to get Trey. And having Trey in here for Shamar to learn off of would be huge, in my opinion. To learn off the guy who's one of the best sack artists in the NFL. Now let's go to Demetrius Knight, our second round pick. Do you think I think there's a chance he might be more of an impact early on more than Shamar Stewart is? Am I off base on that?
If you're thinking about it within the lens of high floor, high ceiling, I do think he could be more of an instant impact. I think it depends on what their plans for Jermaine Pratt is early on. And, talking to other Bengals people, like I was on the pod last week and they were saying that Jermaine Pratt could be a cut candidate, right? If he falls out of favor with the new defensive staff and they don't really have a long-term vision for him. So I see Demetrius Knight as a guy who could be a pretty good one-to-one Jermaine Pratt replacement and maybe even an upgrade from him down the line. So I think that's probably the vision for him. And within that lens, I think it is fair to say that he could have a better, by instant impact, we're talking about, week one, this guy's giving immediate returns that you can see. I think Demetrius Knight could be that guy. I think he fits well into the role that they envisioned for him. And, it was, a slight reach on my board personally, but I still really like the player. And I think that, within that role of coming downhill, encumbering blocks, making tackles, playing physical and instinctive, explosive player, I think he checks a lot of the boxes there. For sure.
And is he good at covering tight ends? We need somebody to cover tight ends.
He's decent. I think he's respectable in zone. I wouldn't leave him like in man coverage on a big slot tight end, right? I don't think he's that. But hey, if you want to talk about covering tight ends, we can talk about Barrett Carter.
There you go. You read my mind. That's where I was going.
Exactly. I think he fits that profile a little better for sure.
Yeah, I wish they'd let him wear 0. I really do.
I know that would be fun.
Talk about those two linebackers and what your grade was for them and how you see them working out this year.
Yeah, so I actually had them graded pretty similarly. I think they were both kind of in my top 75. So I might have had Barrett Carter over Demetrius Knight just because I like the guys who can provide coverage utility, guys who can play in space. And I've always been a fan of Barrett Carter's kind of mode of mobility, I think his flexibility, his explosiveness, his twitch, agility. He's always been one of the special movers. I think he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. So, but going back to 2023, even there were reps where he would be manned up against a big slot tight end and cover them up the seam on a slot fade, and he would be. And there's the card right there. I love that.
Nice.
I love that. That's very cool. A little keepsake. I like that. But yeah, keep it, because I think he could exceed his draft capital. I've been a big fan of the brand of mobility. I think like he can man up big slot tight ends, but he can play in zone as well. And I think he provides more of a, more as a catalyst in the pass rushing phase too. If you need him to blitz through interior gaps, he's got really good range coming downhill. He can bend around blocks. The key with Carter is that he's definitely a little smaller than Demetrius Knight. Demetrius Knight is a little bit heavier.
Easy for you to say.
I know, dude. I'm so tongue tied. I'm ready to be like, hey, I've been talking so much this cycle. I need to just like take a breather.
You need an off season too.
I need an off season, man. I have my vacation starting on Thursday, so I'm just like I'm trying to get to that point. But yeah. So Demetrius Knight, he's a little bit bigger, a little bit longer arms, but I think Barrett Carter definitely gives you more of that sub package coverage linebacker. If you got 3 linebackers on the field, you need someone to play overhang against the big slot receiver, tight end. Barrett Carter's your guy. I think it was, if we're talking about coverage linebackers, for me in this class, the top ones were probably Jahad Campbell, obviously, Smail Mondin from Georgia, and then Barrett Carter. I really think that and Carson Schwesinger from UCLA was really good too. But I think Barrett Carter's ability to man up tight ends, but then also play zone, that gives him an extra element.
Now, does Demetrius Knight, does his age factor into any of this for you?
Not particularly. Maybe more if we were talking about him in round 1, but I think round 2, if you envision him being a day 1 starter, I don't think it bears too much, because I think he can. The age thing is always a question. If the player is still relatively underdeveloped, right? Mm-hmm. Then you're worried that by the time they enter their prime, they're 28, 29, and they're nearing that second contract already, right? I think Demetrius Knight, he's definitely older, but I do think, especially on early downs, I think his floor is relatively high. I think he has pretty good gap instincts. Again, he's very good at taking on blocks and engaging. He can stack and shed. He can make tackles. And he was the leader of that South Carolina defense. He really rallied his teammates. So I think pretty early on, you can expect decent returns. And because of that, I'm not as concerned about the age, because I think, yes, his prime isn't going to be as long. He'll probably play, and some linebackers can play for a long time, right? But he'll be 30 quicker than most. But right. I think through that window, he can be a solid player.
He's 26. Is that what he is?
I think he's 25. I think he's 25.
I mean, I'm 50. 25 is way young. So I mean, I hate sitting there going, "Oh, he's 25, man. He's old." Like, what the hell are you talking about? You're 50. Like, I know. That's why I don't play football. But that always just cracks me up that 25-year-old is old. But I mean, when you got 22-year-olds coming out, it's a big difference.
I'm starting to get to that point, because like I began writing about draft and stuff when I was in college, and now I'm 26, and so it's like, oh, he's 26. Tyler Shuck is 26. He's freaking.
He's old.
He's getting those social security checks. I'm like, well, hey, let's cool it a little bit. Old. So I'm starting to empathize with people more in that regard.
Exactly. Michael Madden here. Is Knight a 4-down backer?
I think he can be respectable in zone coverage on third downs, right? Again, like I said, I don't think he's fluid enough. I don't think he's quite as, twitched up as Barrett Carter to play man coverage and discipline as far as, playing square, at the top of stems and at depth. So I think his main mode is definitely going to be as that early down linebacker, but I don't think he'll be a liability in coverage. You don't want him to be in man coverage. If there's a motion pre-snap where he's baited into a man coverage situation, that's a problem, right? So I think, and also like he's not the best pass rushing linebacker. He can come downhill, he can channel some power with his length, but he's not the most well-versed as some of the other guys either. So I think, again, the best utility for him is going to be early downs as that run defender, that guy who can play square to gaps, who can engage blocks and make tackles at the line of scrimmage, or maybe, generate TFLs. He's decent in zone coverage, but I think there is a limitation to his ultimate ceiling on third downs. So respectable, but I would give Barrett Carter the nod on third downs if you need a sub package guy.
And Knight can tackle, right? All these guys can tackle.
Knight can tackle.
We need that. We need guys who can tackle. We had a problem with that. Cap, you got something?
No, the tackling. I don't get it where, we can go on a run and everybody's swarming and sure tackling, and then we have a streak of 5 games where,
Exactly.
Pratt had issues last year. At least that was the talk in the fan base overall. But then one of the games where the game was out of hand and he may have taken a chance there at the end, and it was a little ugly. It looked like he maybe gave up. Not saying that that's what happened, but I think he had like 16 tackles that game, and he clapped back at somebody on Twitter, like,
He's
hey,
he's known to do that too.
yeah, which I love. So I've still got all the respect in the world for him. I know he loved Lou, and he may have that opportunity to go play for Lou. But whatever happens, we've got to improve tackling on defense.
Mm-hmm. Matt Jenkins here. Back to the linebackers. How are they both on as far as blitzers?
Yeah, again, there I would probably give the nod to Barrett Carter. I think Demetrius Knight can be a good blitzer for you, just with his ability to, again, he's an explosive athlete. He's got the length, he's got the willing physicality to engage blocks. But I think Barrett Carter gives you more versatility as far as alignments go. I think like you can shade him outside the tight end if you want him to get a clean look, or if you want, he can blitz from depth and he can sear through interior gaps. And again, he's got the lower body flexibility where he can bend around blocks too. So I think Demetrius Knight's length allows him to engage at contact a little bit better, but I think Barrett Carter gives you more multiplicity with how you can blitz him, the amount of blitz looks that you can undergo, and also he can disguise. He can feign the blitz and then drop into coverage, and I think his coverage versatility helps with that too. So I would give Carter the nod as far as multiplicity, but remember, I had a very high grade on Carter.
Right.
I probably had him higher than Knight, so I like both guys, but Barrett Carter to me has a little bit more phase versatility, and then Demetrius Knight has a more confined role, but he's very good within it.
Right. This is a good question. I'm kind of curious about this myself. Paul Painter, have we rotated out of the COVID era, or is there one more class? Which I have no idea. I can't believe there's guys in college for 7 years still. I'm like, seriously? He's been 5 years since this.
We might have one more class. I think I'll have to check, but 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, 20, 25. So they would have to be 7th year seniors, but we might have a few this class. So I'll get back to you when we get after this, but we'll have to. I hope we're through it, because the COVID years, they were a nightmare for tracking eligibility. Just on the scouting side, it was. I mean, I love that players are getting an extra year, but like I'm trying to figure out if he's a redshirt senior, if he's got some time left. Like it can be a little difficult.
Or he's a seventh year senior. It's like how
he's a doctor,
Exactly,
Yeah, exactly. He's got his PhD now, still playing football. Like, what the heck? I see Robert here. Let's see here, says more concerns with can they tackle
Lamar
or Jackson? Yeah, in open spaces.
It's a high bar for any defender, man. I mean, it's he's gonna make you lose quite a fair share of reps just being Lamar Jackson, unfortunately. But
exactly. Now let's roll into the two guards. We got Fairchild and the other one slips my mind now.
Jalen Rivers.
Thank you, Jalen Rivers. Now I've said this. I think Fairchild's going to be our starting left tackle.
Left guard.
I think, or left guard. Yeah, thank you. I think there's a good shot, not to start the season, but by the end of the season, that Rivers might be our starting left guard. I mean, am I crazy in that? Because I think it works out better for us, because I think Cody Ford's a better Ginsu knife guy coming off the bench, playing multiple positions. Rivers can play multiple positions too, and he's a freaking ginormous dude. Having him next to Mims will be one of the biggest damn lines around. But am I reaching too much for Rivers, or where are we at on Rivers as far and Fairchild?
Yeah, no, not at all. My stance when I was on Bengals and Brews the other day, I was like, I can foresee an outcome where they're your two starting guards at some point this year. I think Fairchild to me has the slightly higher ceiling, probably. I think he's the better athlete. I think he's a little bit more explosive, a little more fleet-footed, But I also have some issues with Fairchild as far as, balance at contact. There are some times where he'll engage with a punch and then he'll lose his balance. So I want to see him, play a little bit with better knee bend. He can play a little bit tall at times. So better knee bend, better lower body engagement, better sustain at contact as well. But he's athletic. He's a mauler too. He's very, very physical. He brings the right disposition that you want, and he's got good bursts and range off the snap, and pretty good just general physicality. I would say Jalen Rivers is probably I don't think he's as fleet of foot as Dylan Fairchild, but like you said, massive guy, 6'6",
and freaking arms.
Dude, he's like, I think he has 35-inch arms. Like, so he's an albatross out there. I mean, Dylan Fairchild is more like 6'5", 319, 33-inch arms, right? So he's a little more compactly built, but he plays tall too. So that can be an issue sometimes when you play tall and you don't have the reach to outreach guys or exert maximum power on punches. So that shows up at times, but I think his mobility counteracts that. Jalen Rivers is just a domineering physical specimen. I mean, 6'6", 319, like we said, 35-inch arms. So, and I think for his size too, he's got pretty good knee bend. I think he's got really good footwork and pass protection. And I think his tackle background helps with that because he's got, he can get good depth on his kick. He can match guys. He's got pretty good synergetic feel as far as using his feet and his hands in tandem. And he's got heavy hands. I mean, when he makes contact, you're going to be jarred. You're going to need to recover your balance. So it's fun to watch Jalen Rivers because you don't see the elite range or recovery athleticism, but he's just a solid player. I think he really, a lot of the technical building blocks as far as footwork and leverage, he's got a pretty well down pat. And there were games where he would shift between tackle and guard mid game, so the flexibility is there too. So I think Rivers is a little bit more powerful, a little bit more technically sound at this point. I think Fairchild is a little bit more mobile, but I think they both give you a decent floor at the guard position. And I like that they have guys to compete with. It's not their job right away. I think they, the cream's going to rise to the crop, and it's going to force them to keep sharpening. Iron sharpens iron, and I like that they're in that environment right away. So I like both guys. I think the Rivers value was really impressive, getting him on that at that point in day 3, because I pinpointed him as someone who could be a starting guard pretty early in his career. So heavy-handed guy. Dylan Fairchild is definitely your more athletic mauler, not an elite athlete, but a very good athlete. But I think they could both be your starters. I'm pretty. And Fairchild was a little bit of a reach for me. I think I had him just outside my top 100, but I still liked him, and I think they made up for it by getting Rivers with it.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing, what you're saying with their balance and their punching ability and everything and leverage, that's all stuff that the new offensive line coach, I can't ever remember his name, but he's with his MMA background. Mm-hmm. That's what he is big on, is leverage, hand placement, also. So everything you're saying that they need to work on is right in his wheelhouse, where that's what he teaches.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, it's great to have that inbuilt. I think one guy who also had MMA experience in this class was Marcus Mbo, who ended up going to the New York Giants on day 3. But you can see it on film because it's not just about hands and placement. It's also about knowing where your feet need to be when you're making the punches, loading your hips into punches so that your upper body isn't just on an island. You're actually loading from your lower body and making sure that you're in sync. So, a lot of things that having an MMA background, or I also love linemen with a wrestling background because you know how to get underneath guys, so, having that well-versed experience where you're not just a football guy, but you can use different applications. That's a really fun thing. So especially seeing Rivers go in there, because his hands are super heavy, man. I mean, even when he doesn't get elite precise placement, he can jar guys just with his strikes. So really excited to see the work they can do with these guys, because I think Fairchild's mobility, his disposition, Rivers' power profile, there's a lot of upside to keep unearthing with this duo.
Now Mon here says, which I don't see them doing this because they'd be moving too many guys around, but he said, could Lucas Patrick potentially be our starting center and move Karras to guard? I don't see that because you're moving too many people, but I think Ted Karras is our center. I don't think they're planning on moving him. My opinion. What do you guys say? You think is that even a thought in their? Go ahead, Ian.
If it were me, I would probably keep Here's the thing, the tackles were injured, the guards were not reliable. Ted Karras was the only guy that you could really rely on at the fulcrum. I would keep him in that position where he's directly tied to Joe Burrow, and they can at least rely on each other. If you put him at guard, I think he's 6'4", 310, 32.5-inch arms, right? So he's not even the biggest guy at guard. I don't think he would compete as well there. So I would keep Karras at center. I would let the rookies battle it out at each guard spot, and if they win it, great. If they don't, they can learn behind the scenes. So I think they have a good setup. Maybe, Karras, if injuries do catch enough, you could move him around. But if it were me, I would keep him at center.
Yeah, they haven't moved him. He's been centered all 3 years or 4 years he's been there. So I don't see them moving. Cap, you think Karras is our center until he leaves or retires? Or
I think he is. I think he'd be willing to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So he would definitely play ball. But I know some fans were looking at a couple of games and were a little confused about his performance. I think Ian nailed it though with the injuries and then the weakness at guard. It's just got a ripple effect across the line. There's a lot of times where a guy like Ted, who do you help out? Do you help out your left? Do you help out your right?
Right.
Who screwed up the assignment on the stunt, which we saw a lot. It was just a little chaos. When they started to gel again, they started to get a little healthier, a little more experience with people who had to come in. They looked a little better.
And I will say too, like having a young right tackle in Amarius Mims, having 2 potential rookie starting guards, like having a veteran like Ted Karras at the center spot who's calling out protections and blitzes and communicating, that can be such a big thing for just unit cohesion. So I think it's definitely very highly valued, and it's something you don't really want to tamper with.
Yeah. Now for record, I don't think Rivers is going to be our starter day one. I think it might be later. I think Fairchild will. I think Rivers could win this later on the season, but we'll see what happens.
Fairchild had a lot of good. Apparently, there's some good stuff in the locker room.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
You know what? I'll just come out and say Ted Karras liked Fairchild a lot.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know Mims likes him. He calls him Pickle. That was his nickname for him. He was because they were teammates at Georgia. So I know that the Mims like him if Teddy likes him. But Teddy likes everybody though.
No. Ted was not all in on some other that the fans liked.
Really?
No. He said Fairchild is a perfect fit for this particular team and what we do on offense. He's like, they made the right choice.
Sounds good to me. Now, hopefully you guys, I don't know who T. Brookie's talking about. Maybe you guys do. How will JOK not playing this year affect the Browns in this division? I don't know.
Yeah, he's out for the year.
Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Thank you. All right. There you go. Glad I asked. I didn't know who they were talking about. But
that neck injury.
Yeah, that's a tough loss because he's a fun player, man. But I think let me look at the Browns roster real quick because they did draft Carson Schwarzenegger, so I think Schwarzenegger helps them out a lot. He was a fringe first-round guy for me, so I think he helps recoup that value. They've got Jordan Hicks, who's a decent, well-versed veteran, right? Nothing special, but he's going to at least fulfill a role. Not having Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah could hurt them, though, for sure, because I think his ability to play downhill, be a versatile chess piece, but then play in coverage as well. He was when I scouted him, he was an incredibly fun player to watch because he could do pretty much anything. So not having that versatility, that could hurt them quite a bit. I don't want to make any leaps and say it'll affect their chances, but they also don't have a settled quarterback situation either. So like, how competitive are they going to be? I do think it could hurt their defense at the second level, but I also think Schwarzenegger is going to emerge as a really impactful player too.
There you go.
They have a lot of quarterbacks though. They at least
have a lot. They got a lot.
If they have a lot, they have none, man. That's the tried and true saying. But we'll see how that settles out, man. It's an interesting situation.
Sir, hey, tell Teddy I'm sorry, and he better not hate me.
It wasn't me. It was Cap. Let's get.
I love Teddy.
Ted's my dude. All right, so Mike. If something happens to Karras, then Matt Lee. Right now, yeah. It also could be the kid they signed from Ohio State if he beats out Matt Lee.
Yeah, if he's healthy, Seth McLaughlin could be in the discussion. He had a really good year before the injury. I think he's reasonably athletic. I think he plays with good leverage. I think he's not overly powerful, not overly dynamic, but I think he gets the job done. And he's got good footwork. I think Matt Lee is very intriguing because I liked him a lot as a developmental center coming out. Very athletic, but he's got a good leverage profile too. So in year 2, maybe some upside there, but. Ideally, you don't have to have that conversation because Karras remains the Iron Man, but I think they have some intriguing developmental potential behind it.
Now let's get to my favorite pick is the running back, and he's my favorite pick. And for some reason, his name slips my brain right now.
Taj Brooks.
Thank you, Taj Brooks. I about jumped out of my seat when we drafted him because I like him a lot. I think him and Chase Brown in that backfield are going to be awesome. I like it that they both can pass protect, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. We can put them both in there, and they both can do the job. What's your thoughts on Brooks?
Yeah, Taj is a very fun player, and it was actually kind of funny. I was, I didn't have the numbers, like the weight numbers, like off the top of my head. So like I looked up his page and I saw the combine weight, and I read it off when I was in the Bengals and Brews pod, and it was like 214. And as I read it off, I was like, wait, that's not right. And then they're like, oh, he's up to 230 now. So I was like, that sounds right. The
There
dude
you
is
go.
he's a bowling ball. He's an absolute bowling ball. I love the frame density, the natural leverage, but then also like for that size, he's a very nuanced runner. Like when you talk about vision and footwork and efficiency, not wasting space behind the line of scrimmage, knowing what gaps to flow to. He's very good on inside zone runs, and he's got decent speed for his size too, where he can get up the seam. He can finish with physicality. I really like. I have a soft spot for those running backs who kind of have that jackhammer profile, where they can find the right hole and they can just finish forward. Find the hole, finish forward. And I think Taj Brooks is one of the better ones at doing that, but he has the footwork to, use his setup space effectively too, right? So he's not just physical and reckless, but he's patient and disciplined. And I think for that reason, he can be a very, very good rotational back, change of pace guy. I think he can take volume to a degree if you need him to, but then the pass protection, as well. I don't think he was an elite pass protector in this class.
But he can do it.
He can do it for sure.
Yeah.
That's the point. And coming from college, very rarely are you going to find elite pass protectors. Like it's a pretty esteemed, pretty exclusive group to get into. Like this past class, you're probably talking about Travion Henderson, Kyle Monangai, and not too LaQuint Allen from Syracuse, maybe, but not too many after that. I think Taj Brooks is a good pass protector. He gives great effort. I think the main sticking point for him moving forward is going to be just vision against the blitz, like recognizing when guys are shifting alignments and moving to the spot. But he's very willing to meet a guy at contact in the hole, and he's got the frame for it with the weight and the natural leverage. So
Big
I think
12, chop, Big 12, not Pac-12. Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore.
yeah, no, he was very productive, and I think it speaks to the well-rounded running skill set that he has. But then also, you can put him out there on third downs, and he'll give very good effort trying to protect Joe Burrow. So within this lens, at that range in the draft, I thought it was a really good pick.
Now, does the amount of carries that he got, because both Chase Brown and him got a lot of carries in college, and that some teams try to stay away from that. Does that scare you at all?
It doesn't really scare me too much. I'd have to do like an in-depth study to see if there's a correlation. But from my experience, there's not an overwhelming correlation between guys who took on volume and were worn down. And if it is, like a lot of teams kind of cycle through running backs on rookie contracts, right? So like 4 years later, you could end up reloading at the position, right? So it's not that big of a concern for me. I actually like how he showed durability with taking volume at the collegiate level. So, and I think his frame helps translate with that too. So not a huge concern. It's something to monitor, but it's not something that would give me any pause there.
Cap, you got anything on Taj Brooks or anything we've talked about here?
Hey, I wish him the best, but man, I'm heartbroken anytime we're talking about him because Travion Williams. So he's such a good dude. He played well in the spots that he was called on. He almost had that touchdown from Burrow. Almost. Oh man, it's tough. You get into the fandom where you're interacting with players. You want your team to win, but then you see your favorite guys go. It's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm reading this for Samuel here. Trey complained when they tried to have someone not related to Mike Brown negotiate with his agents. Just hang in there, Trey. The Bengals pay you. Okay. Well, you noticed they had somebody else talk to him? I haven't heard that, but I don't have any sources. So my sources are you guys. So we'll see. Did Trey, did he get signed by anybody yet? Do we know, Cap?
I have not seen anything, but then again, I have not been glued to social media like I am during the season. So
Exactly.
Esther's in chat. She'll, there was some outage she sees, but
Esther,
I think we're still kind of in limbo.
Looks like he's still a free agent. Yeah.
Is he? Okay.
Yep. He may just have to be a world-renowned professor and eventually become an agent and, multi-talented dude that's going to be.
He can come and negotiate contracts for the Bengals then. Just throwing it out there.
Have to put the different cap on, though, because it goes from player-centric to ownership-centric. Yeah.
Yep. Wink says situations like that suck. I understand part of the game, but it does not make it any easier. That's true.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. If anybody knows, it's Esther. Yep.
Esther would know. All right, Ian, you've been on for almost an hour here. I appreciate it, man. I know
Impressive and very impressive, Ian.
Hey,
I'm glad I was here, and I'm glad I'm
shit.
following you. I can't wait to see what else you put out.
He's ready to go on vacation and relax. But tell everybody they can follow you, and if you got anything else coming out anytime soon or anything you want to plug before I let you go.
Yeah, for sure. And I appreciate you guys. You know, it's always, this is one of my favorite pods to come on, just chopping it up about the Bengals, but also entering the ice cave. You know, it's always a good time for sure. As far as new work in the works, so to speak, we've transitioned to 2026 at PFSN. So the mock draft simulator is up to date with prospects, and we're making updates every week at least. I'm getting new names in there and shuffling it around as I get through more guys. So we are we're kind of all systems go on the 2026 NFL draft cycle. So I submitted my top 10 QBs for the class, initial top 10 QBs, still very much subject to movement, but I submitted that last week. It should be out soon. And we'll just keep churning through top 10s and creating more content and informing people on the upcoming class and seeing where it goes from there. So it's going to be fun. I'm really excited because I came back to the draft analysis late this particular cycle.
I know. The first
March.
Yeah, the first show you're home, you're like, well, I just got back into it. You still were like, you still rolled stuff out. I'm like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so I'm very excited to see what we can do with a full cycle. It's going to be fun. A lot of time, but first off, definitely taking that vacation. As far as I know, I don't have any other podcasts lined up, so this is my last one. So you guys are sending me off to a little week and a half break. So I appreciate you. I always enjoy coming on, and I'm sure we'll be back talking to each other fairly soon when the season gets underway.
Absolutely. All right, Ian, I appreciate it, man. Go rest your voice and go have some fun. Relax.
Will do. I appreciate you guys. Take care.
All right, see you. Thanks.
Yeah,
go follow Ian. Ian's a good dude. Like I said, he knows.
Holy cow.
I
mean, the dude could have talked nonstop the entire time and brought new perspectives just continually. I was floored.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
Yeah, well, you should hear like when they had him and Dale on Bengals Brews Friday. Those two going back and forth. It's just
man.
It's ridiculous what they know and what they I don't know how they consume all that or have time to do it.
The time that's it. Like, you really have to love it because you don't just casually fall into talking about prospects like that. That is work. That is hard ass work. So you probably saw my lights blinking.
I did.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
Bengals just tweeted that out. Wednesday. I'll be at the Pete Rose game.
Yeah, I'll be there too. All right, we got tickets. So
we'll see you there.
Yeah, we'll have to hook up before the game because I'm doing my show early Wednesday. Gonna have Fire Mon, who's been in the comments, and Jesse James is gonna be on too. So
and you know what?
About the contracts.
That's a good. Like, I appreciate. Like, this is not my show, but I love Mon going in here and making comments like, you know, we fans can be both sides of the coin. You can root for your team and be, constructively critical.
Yeah.
You can also be, show criticism and cheer for that team that you're burned by. You feel anger about. Like, we can. It's a lot of gray area. We can feel a lot of things. They all can be true. Mm-hmm. And I love that he said that because, like, I know I piss people off on social media sometimes. And good people, because Mon is a good dude and I love what he does.
He's good.
But I know I caught a lot of flack last year because I unfollowed Willie because when people start going extreme, like one game something happened, like, this is defining. Like, I disagree, and I'm going to say that, but it's like I'm thinking about the Big Lebowski is like, that's like my opinion, dude. Like, I'm not saying Willie's an absolute moron. I've never said anything like that. I've like, I completely disagree. And I'm
just to be clear, it was Willie Lutz, not Willie Anderson. Right?
Oh yeah. Not Willie Anderson.
Just to clarify which Willie.
No. Yeah, I guess that's a point. Yeah, geez. Well, one more rumor gets started. But
Bengals captain unfollowed Willie Anderson.
sometimes people pile on, and I'm like, I don't really. And thank y'all for the great shows. That's all Iceman and Ian.
I just sat here.
but yeah, it's like, hey, people unfollow me all the time. Some people who have like unfollowed me permanently still interact with me, and I still interact with it. Like I appreciate the number that I see. I think y'all are crazy. Yeah, on social media you have to be able to dish it out and take it. I'm not even trying to dish it out or take it
or dig it out. Either way.
Well, no,
Couldn't help it. You said it.
It was a combination of dish and take. The K at that got me. I do it all the time. My brain works faster than my mouth, and I say horrible things. It's like typing at work. I'm in an important meeting, and what I say, get it? Like, do you get it? And then I put the space after the GE, and then I've got tit sitting right there in a business chat. And I'm like, oh God, like, I'm sorry for the unfortunate typo. This is an abnormally embarrassing typo. I draw way more attention to it in order to get people.
By apologizing about it, like,
yeah, I'm not talking about tit. I meant get it. Anyway, but no, I appreciate seeing that, because it's like, I think sometimes, like, well, maybe Mon will hate my guts and then not want to watch you because I'm on here. Man, Bengals are going crazy right now. Yeah. But no, Mon's a good dude, and he hangs out to support you, and
he's an awesome dude.
I got to see what the Bengals say.
Hey, the fire. I'm doing it too. I'm like, what are they tweeting now?
Yeah. Basically, anytime you see me on, they must have replied to somebody, or did they retweet it? Was there a mistake in it?
I don't know. I don't see anything yet.
No, that's 6 minutes. Is it okay? So here's the funny thing. If anything gets posted and like immediately deleted,
mm-hmm.
my app knows. So sometimes I'll look and there's no, well, like, where's the post? There was one. My lights were blinking. It's gone.
Ethan's on it.
But
by the way, Chop says there's nothing wrong with getting tits. He just wanted to put that out there for you.
Hey, whatever makes you happy. If I could, I probably would. I mean,
you never leave the house then.
that's fair. If you unfollow me and come back, there will be a reconnection fee. That's fair. That is absolutely fair. See, I am not awesome. I am not awesome like you, sir. I cannot afford to charge a fee. So,
yes, sir. Bengals like going to Spain. Good.
I hate to say this. So I would have went. I would have had a blast. I am thrilled because I love Miami Beach. I love Miami Beach. I love being in Miami.
Sorry, but I love that Chop's comment. Sorry. Makes it sharp. Good.
I would rather go to Miami.
Especially in December.
Well, we'll go to Spain. We'll go to Spain one day. I know we will. I just that, and the fact that I've been bad. I've not. I need to chill out. I can't even. These are all the same card.
Will you stop buying the same card? Stop buying the same card, Cap.
These are all the same card in different colors. What the hell is wrong with me? Why am I like this? This is like this tickles the tism for me, and then I have to have all of them, and I need a break. I can't go to Spain. It's going to cost too much money. I'm glad we're going to Miami. So yeah, that's my. I hope to see a whole bunch of y'all there, because Miami, the tailgating around Miami is a blast. I really do enjoy. I like the layout because we've got a lot of good tailgates spread like around a huge campus around the stadium. With Miami, there are a lot of awesome tailgates just in the lot. and they're all lined up perfectly, and it's just you just go up and down and meet people and have drinks. Esther, happy as well.
Yeah.
Take palm trees. Yeah. I want to go to Spain one day. I wasn't ready this year. Just like Germany, I want to go to Germany. I need time to practice because I took 5 years of German, and wouldn't you know, I only know how to say obscene things. So that's all I remember.
That's what I would do.
I remember all the colloquialisms and the nicknames for parts, and that's all. My brain is terrible. I remember a little bit, Vasislovs, the joke about Kennedy and Ich bin ein Berliner, all that stuff. Which, if you don't know that, look it up.
Tariffs.
Oh, geez.
Hey, the tariffs are coming off. He took them off China. See.
Okay. We're not. I'm not talking politics.
We're not talking politics.
Tariffs. I'm talking tariffs. Only tariffs. I can like a lot of stuff and hate one thing, or hate a lot of things, like one thing, whatever. In this case, I buy stuff that has tariffs on it. I have always. I'm not a big import export entrepreneur, but man, that killed me, and I have not been real thrilled with that particular piece. But hopefully,
it's off for 90 days, from what I've heard. So.
Hallelujah, man!
It's off for China.
But I lost out on some deals. I was like, whatever.
You should buy more of the same card, Cap. That's all you're gonna do.
Now, lucky, no tariffs here. These are all. God, what is wrong with me?
A lot of people.
A lot.
Mike, this is a good question. Mike Madden wants to. How many prime times do you think the Bengals will have this season? I say 3. That's off the top of my head.
I hate to say that. 4 max.
4 max.
Because you know what? Anybody else with a star quarterback? Yeah. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is 63 years old. We'll fast forward to the future. And the Jets. He's back at the Jets. He's 63 years old. Part of his brain is AI, and shit, they'll give him 10 primetime games.
Well, they got the Cowboys and the Eagles. What? Like, the Cowboys haven't done anything in 20 years, but they're going to be on the kickoff, the opening night against the Eagles. Like,
yeah. So I think it'll be 4 max, but I could totally see 3 because the NFL hates the Bengals.
Yeah, well, I was shocked 2 years ago when we went to the back-to-back AFC Championship games versus the Chiefs that they did not have the Bengals playing the Chiefs opening night. I was shocked. I thought for sure they were going to, but then and
then hearing the reasoning for pulling us out of our Stripe the Jungle primetime game, like actually had an interview with the guy that runs the schedule making and everything, and. Yeah, it was purely because we didn't have as good a chance to make the playoffs as this game between the Chargers and the Broncos. And I mean, honestly, we were 1 game short of both of them.
Right.
And you want to talk about the teams, which QB has the best chance at going all the way? That's going to be Burrow.
Jackpot.
Like they could have done. No, they don't take. I do not believe. I still to this day do not believe they take us seriously and Joe Burrow seriously. It
Paul
sucks.
says,
I hate it.
A happy early birthday, Paul. He said the season opens on his 60th birthday. So there you go. Happy birthday, man.
Nice.
Happy early birthday, that is. Wink says if Burrow is on fire again this year, Aaron gets senior citizen coffee in his way to practice.
Are you talking about the discount coffee, or is there something?
I just got my card. I can sign up for AARP now. So hush with the senior citizen.
Are you serious?
I got it. Yeah, 50. I got it. My wife goes, "Hey, you can sign up for this now." I'm like, oh crap.
Is that at 50?
It's a 50. I thought it was 55, but nope, I got it at 50.
Hell no.
But hey, I get a lot of discounts now. So I got to sign up for this. I need my senior discount here.
Bro, I like the birthday's the 24th. I'll be 48.
Yeah, you're not too far. Don't worry, it's coming. It's coming, Cap.
That's not cool. Dude, what a way to end the show. This sucks. I'm thumbs down. Where's the thumbs down on this damn shit? Son of a bitch.
What are you talking about? You got 2 more years. I already got it. I don't know.
40, 50. I get a card. Like, I get discounts. Old ass discounts.
Old ass discounts. Wing says, "Oh my God, hilarious! You better get
yeah, okay,
exactly."
God. Oh, and Esther, you probably would be hanging out with my wife, and then everybody getting loud, like, "Hey, Cap, you want to use your senior discount?"
Yes, Fred State was older than me. Yeah, it was built in 1970. I was born in 75. Yeah, exactly. See, I get half off Reds games. There you go. See, look, yeah, bam, let's go.
I'll use it too. I don't care.
I already got it,
dude.
I already got it.
Hey, I'm bringing back the Affliction T-shirts. I'm fighting this shit. I
just gave up. I'm good. All right, Cap. We're going to end it on that. Yeah, any final words you want to say for Who Dey Nation?
Trey Hendrickson, we love you, man. Like, you are, man, we love you so much.
We're going to Midwest Best when he signs. We're going to do that. We got to figure that out.
Yes. Paul, hey. I know. Hey, we just got to fight it, man. I will die cringe. Everybody like, oh, why does he talk like that? Why does he say the word? What? Fine, I'll fight it. I don't give a shit. I still got the Just for Men beard shampoo. I don't give a shit. I will do bro talk.
Yeah.
I will do bro talks.
Go not fat. Fighting, Cap. Come on.
It's not Botox. It's bro talks. We're not too old for this shit.
We're not too old for it. Keep saying we're not too old for this.
Old for this shit.
We're not too old for this shit.
I can watch that movie again. All right. Who Dey? What?
I said I love that movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
Lethal Weapon. The original one's the best.
Yes, Esther. I am almost afraid. Miami. You got to get to Miami. We're gonna have a blast.
Exactly. All right, Cap.
Yep.
Who Dey? All right, guys. As always, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Ian is awesome. Make sure you guys follow him for upcoming stuff for the draft next year. I know Dale's already got stuff coming out. He's already got his 2026 draft. He's already starting to do stuff for that. So go follow them. And, of course, go follow Cap and Jess because they're awesome people and they're our co-fans of the year. So, but like I said, thanks for watching. I've been live streaming on ZTV Online, YouTube, X, Facebook, Twitch. You can follow me on all those, along with Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. Now, I've been trying to pull the sound off and put it on the podcast, but last two, for some reason, it hasn't let me upload it. So I'm going to try to put it up on the podcast again. If it does work, it's on BeanPod, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. Leave a comment and a 5-star review so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. And hit the likes on this one. If you're watching on Facebook, we got 337 people watching right now across YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. So make sure you share it out. Tell your friends about it. That'd be awesome. I appreciate it. And shout out to my sponsors. As always, they are Priority Lawn and Landscaping. They sponsor the Ice Cave. Like I said, if you think anything, you need anything related to lawn and landscaping, cutting the grass, flower beds, planting shrubbery, planting a tree, like not big trees, little trees. They can put that in there. A paver patio, a landscaper, a retaining wall, anything retaining to lawn and landscaping. Do me a favor, think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Don't just think it. Give them a call at 513-430-6114. That's 513-430-6114. You can also follow them on Facebook. When you call Johnny, tell him Ice sent you. Also, shows brought to you by T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And of course, we got Meyer Windows and Doors. I say this every single time, but it's the truth. I got them in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. They're energy efficient, great looking windows, easy to clean, and they save you money on your air conditioning, your heat, all that cool stuff. They keep the ice cave cool in the summertime, and they keep it warm in the wintertime. So I appreciate it. Check them out at MyersCincinnati.com. Meyer Window, Doors, and more. And you can also meet Maddie Myers and the Jackpot Joey Mobile. All right, boys and girls, who do I got on tomorrow? I know. Yeah, I got a very special show. Cap will be back on tomorrow. I got Mama T on tomorrow. She'll be on here, and you know when she comes on, it's a lot of fun. So it's not gonna be serious. We talk to her, well, I'd love to talk to T. Hopefully she'll bring T on, but I seriously doubt that's gonna happen. So she'll be on with us tomorrow. Like I said, if you've ever seen any of the shows with her, they're a blast. The show I did with her husband Eric, who passed away a couple years ago, was awesome. He was a DJ on here. We had a freaking awesome time. So make sure you guys check that out tomorrow. Then Wednesday's show is going to be at 3:00 because I'm going to the Reds game, Pete Rose game. Mine's going to be on that show along with Jesse James. Talk some contracts. You know, he explains stuff that's going on with Trey, explain stuff that's going on with the rookie contract and all that stuff. He knows way more about it than I do. So we got a lot of great guests coming up. But again, make sure you subscribe to the channel so when I go live at 3:00 and you guys forget, it'll tell you. YouTube be like, hey, Ice is coming on at 3:00. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Other than that, Houday for life. And that's your sports, baby. See ya!
Weekday nights, the city roars. Tune in loud, turn up some more. Cincinnati show, it's time to play. Sports with strawberry ice today. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice is on the mic, energy, it's good delight. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Feel the crowd, it's electric now. Shouting loud, they all know how. The CTV got what we crave. Sports with ice, it's waves and waves. Tigers strike and Bengals roar. Every game we want some more.